Time now to check in with Ari Rabinovitch for Business News. Hello, Ari.
Cynthia.
So Canadians were celebrating an interest rate cut last week, even though it's a small one, but our American friends will need to wait a little longer.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a little bit of an imbalance, or what the experts are calling a divergence, in terms of what the central banks here and in the U.S. are doing. But it all is related to economic data, so they are following the ball, so to speak. Now, we found out today that the U.S. Federal Reserve made no changes to interest rates. That's pretty much what most expected. But what they didn't expect was that at the same time, the latest report on inflation, the May Consumer Price Index, was actually cooler than expected. So it looks like the strategy to raise interest rates to bring down inflation is working in the U.S., just at a maybe slower rate than here in Canada. So what does this mean for the Bank of Canada? Well, the Tiff Macklem of the Bank of Canada suggested that it may wait and see to see what the U.S. Fed does next, because you don't want to have too much of divergence in the U.S. dollar versus our loonie. The U.S. Fed said today that even with the cooler than expected reading on inflation in the U.S., the central bank south of the border may actually wait longer than initially thought to lower interest rates. So that might mean we will wait longer as well. But we'll see what the July meeting holds.
Interesting. All right. Everybody will be watching that anxiously. They want rates to go down if they're renewing mortgages. Now, Ari, the title of the world's most valuable company has changed hands, and a familiar brand has retaken the top spot.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if you've been following the stock this week, Cynthia, but as I like to say, it was a green apple all week. The stock gained almost 10% this week, including about 3% today, and it's all really stemming from the annual Worldwide Developers Conference, where Apple announced many different ventures into artificial intelligence, or what it's calling Apple Intelligence. It has a nice ring to it. Now, what this means is that Apple stock has gained hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap from the market response. So what it ended up doing? Well, it took the crown of the world's most valuable company at about $3.4 trillion in market cap, and it took the crown from Microsoft. It's worth about $3.3. And in third place, NVIDIA, worth just over $3 trillion. Cynthia, those three companies are the only ones worth $3 trillion in market cap or more. And it's really, again, all tied to artificial intelligence.
Those numbers are boggling, that money worth for those companies.
Can't even picture that number.
Can't picture that number. All right. Well, this next story could. A major bank merger could be in the works. Of course, banks know those monies.
Of course. It's even for some banks like National Bank, $3 trillion is unfathomable, but $5 billion doesn't seem like that much in comparison, I suppose. Well, that's what National Bank of Canada has agreed to purchase Canadian Western Bank for, $5 billion. Now, the deal still needs regulator approval as well as shareholders. Well, that shareholder vote will come in September, but the Competition Bureau may have something to say about this if the deal were to go through. Canada's Competition Bureau did scrutinize a previous banking acquisition pretty heavily. That was the one where RBC sought to acquire HSBC Bank, and that took a long time because there were a lot of issues about what this might mean for competition in the Canadian banking sector. So this will be interesting to see if this actually goes through. But Cynthia, if National Bank does manage to acquire it, its commercial banking portfolio will increase by more than 50%.
Okay, good to know. Thanks so very much for joining us again, Ari.
Thank you, Cynthia.